Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy. Solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere near East Palestine, Ohio. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Monday, June 2nd, 2025, and this is the TNAM Daily Show, a division of the Agree to Disagree Show.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
Thank you very much for being here today. We're going to unpack the discovery of East Palestine, Ohio. Who would have thought that if toxic chemicals spill, burning them would be a bad idea? I once again call on the Trump administration to start dishing out indictments or replace Bongino, Patel, and Bondi with someone who will. What Pete Buttigieg, Joe Biden, and the Democrat administration did in East Palestine, Ohio is atrocious. We will discuss the cancer clusters, the stories, the accusations, and the fallout. We will invite Nimbus up into the studio. Let's see if he jumps. Come on. You're calling for me. Let's go. This is how I love to start the show. Come on. He didn't start talking until I started talking. We will discuss that, and we will kind of go over. There's Nimbus. Nice jump, except he landed right on the computer screen. Or on the computer. There we go. On the computer keyboard is what I meant to say. All right. So now that Nimbus is a part of the show, we can get things. You're good. You're good. We can get things going. Let's go ahead and jump to the irrelevant stories first. Go to sports. I can go ahead and start the chat. Put this up on the screen. However you're watching, hit like, hit subscribe. Hello, David. Hello, Deb. Hello to all the other regulars who are filing in. These places at the bottom of the screen are where you can find the New American Media. All right. Trying to get two things set up real quick and get this sent out on Facebook. Make sure that we are live on all of these platforms. Jump in and say hello, would you? Go ahead and leave us some information. Type your name or your initials. Let us know where you're watching from. It's great to know who's following the program. Nimbus is a wrecking ball. He gets in one of these moods where he wants to nuzzle. That's fine, except he knocks over the ring lights. He knocks over the cell phones. He opens and closes the laptop. I mean, yes, I know. There goes a phone. You know, I could close the door. I could lock him out. But you know, what fun is it? What fun would that be? All right, let me just go full screen, show you who is playing each other in the NHL. NHL Edmonton, Florida, game 1 will be 2 days from now on Wednesday. Florida Panthers, Edmonton Oilers. That is now set. Who do you got? Are you rooting for Edmonton or Florida, Canada or the United States? What say you? Moving on to the NBA. We have our championship matchup as well. We have the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. Game 1 will be 3 days from now. So what? Thursday, June 5th. Oklahoma City, Indiana. Who do you have there? See, I'll tell you what I really like about that is that whoever wins, look, the NHL playoffs, it's a matchup of last year's championship. So, it is what it is. But in the NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder have never won a championship, and the Indiana Pacers have never won a championship. So this is something I can get behind, something I can root for. I like when new cities get a chance to celebrate a championship. That's for sure. All right. Nimbus, no. Almost knocked over the ring light again. Okay. Let's go ahead and get rid of this tab. Today's show has started off swimmingly. Seriously, this cat is going bonkers. He thinks I'm made of catnip. Is that possible? Hi, buddy. I was trying to give him a headbutt, and he started grooming my forehead. Okay. He's going to sit there like a sage man? Yes. No nibbles. No nibbles. We do the nose kiss. Just like that. No mouth, no biting. Just an acknowledgement of like, my rescue cat Nimbus. Been my buddy for 19 years. Love you, pal. All right, let's get into the news. Oh, I still haven't shared this on the Facebook groups yet. I tried to. Here, I'll go to these 3 groups. Join the live show. All right, we're good here, and I assume we're streaming on Rumble, even though Nimbus knocked my phone down. Try this again. Okay, appears to be streaming. Good. We are streaming here. All right. Let's see what comments I'm missing. Tardy for the party. Yes, good morning. Happy Monday. Hi, Deb. Good morning, David. Yes, of course, Nimbus is the hero. Wait, hold on. What? Wait. Well, what? Hold on. I got some. Hold on. Okay, so Nimbus. Yes. David says, have great news. Someone found our furry friend. Where did they find your furry friend? Fork, yeah. Thank you so very much for the prayers. I hope someone would pray for me if I had anybody that needed finding, I don't know. I'm a cat fan, as witnessed by letting this guy run my life. He's mellowed out in his old age a little bit. Oh, he's a young 93 years old in human years. He's a young 93. Yeah, we have a group on Facebook, TNAM Animal Rescue. Hi, guy. TNAM Animal Rescue. So I'm a big fan. Someone found your furry friend. What? Okay, David and Brian were in a crazy Deb dream. G-rated. That's good. David said it shows how praying and faith allows God to work his miracles. So what happened? What was the deal? Who found him and where was he? Spiral, dude. Spiral's back. David, have you listened to the Tool song Parabola, where he sings spiral out, keep going? So thank you again. Great to have our family member home. Heck yeah, that's the best news I could have got from you, David. That, or if you would have told me that Pierre Poilievre is taking over your country instead of whatever woke globalist loser, Mark Carney. I don't know why Trump likes Carney. Maybe he senses a weakness in Carney. I think he just wants to buy Canada, and maybe he thinks Carney might find a way to negotiate with him. Because Poilievre was the obvious choice, right? As an outsider, that's what it seemed like to me. Awesome. Yes, David, God was listening. Prayer works. Oh my gosh, he was a mile away? Nimbus is scenting on you. Yes, when they nuzzle and stuff, like they have their scent glands on in that muzzle area. So when they're doing that, they're putting their scent. But he does hang out right there in the office. And then when I start talking, he's like, oh, Dad's talking? Now I want to talk to Dad. I'm like, okay. Because I will. I'll sit here for hours just quietly finding news stories, figuring out what I want to discuss. And it activates him like a cicada. Here's the question. Are the cicadas active where you live? Do they come out every 7 to 13 years? What is the story? And yeah. Do you have anything going on in your yard? Are you working on gardening? That is my question for you about cicadas and about gardening. Also, bats. Have any of you had experiences with bats? And if so, how have you dealt with these? I have a bat question mark potential situation brewing. So I'm trying to figure this out. All right. He was found a mile away. I gotta get some more info. Who found him? Was it a neighbor that you talked to? Was it somebody? How did they know to be looking for him? I got to know more about Spiral. How was he found? Who found him? And are you sure it's really him? Does he wear a breakaway collar or something? Okay. Found a mile away. Awesome. That's great news. But definitely be careful. It is mating season. Male cats will do a lot of strange things to to scratch that itch, if you know what I mean. All right, I'm not seeing a single Instagram story. Oh, there they are. They all just showed up. That was a weird glitch. Let's go to it. Let's start unpacking the news of the day. You got your sports. There's another story about a man suffering from gender dysphoria who was allowed to compete in the girls division in California and was allowed to win medals. I believe I have that on X or on Instagram. I want to get to that. That is a sports story. It's a human story, though. If there was no need to separate men and women's sports, we would have never done it in the first place. You don't get to play a wild card and go, ha, now I get to go defeat the women and gain glory. No, you don't. If you're born a dude, compete against dudes, dress how you want to dress, identify how you want to identify. If your chromosomes include a Y, in sports, you must compete with guys. Breaking news also, Saquon Barkley has been named the cover man of Madden NFL 26. It's in the game. Madden, it's in the game. Deb says, no bugs and no gardening. The pool is my priority. Hot weather. Oh, yeah. You're Sacramento, and I have a foster cat with a family staying in San Francisco. It was 111 degrees, 102 degrees? I'm trying to remember exactly. It was north of 100. It was triple digits. And he found a very injured cat. It was mama cat. Not sure if it got hit by a car or attacked. Not entirely certain, but the leg was in such bad condition. They said that the cat almost gnawed it off. And he was able to trap this animal, take it to the vet, and they did amputate. But he's decided to keep this cat. It's like, I don't want to put a 3-legged cat out into the universe now. It's going to be hard enough. So bless him for taking care of that injured animal. So, you know, you do what you can, where you can with what you got. At one point, I probably had like 13 cats in and out of my house, fostering a lot of them to get them permanent homes. We trapped over 135 cats in the neighborhood. And it's like occasionally you'd find some that would rub up against the trap, and you'd let them out, and they'd be lap cats, and they could use a litter box, and they'd eat your food and sit on the couch and cuddle and play with toys. And you're like, okay, you're not a feral cat. You're someone that really thrives off of attention. You deserve a home. Then there's others we've tried to take care of and domesticate, but I mean, they keep that feral wild streak in them. But yeah, you know, I guess in a way, what I wanted to say at the outset of today's show was about the reason why I do the New American Media, what makes me tick. Journalism in general is supposed to be speaking truth to power, calling out injustices. That movement's really been hijacked by the left, liberalism. We're the caring party. We're the ones that really care. Are you? See, this graphic here, it's the mask of liberalism, but behind it is socialism and communism. You know, it's like, here, my pretties, come have some candy. Sorry, or is that just Joe Biden going into his daughter Ashley's shower late at night when she'd be terrified because he'd inappropriately join her in the shower? There's a mask that people wear. And it can feel good to be on the left because, let's face it, you get to hold every righteous position. It is until every righteous position clashes with another righteous position. And then you get into the hierarchy of the oppressed and the oppressor. And then you reach a situation where it becomes Ouroboros. You're the snake eating your own tail. And that is actually kind of interesting to watch, if not hilarious, because their ideology is garbage. It doesn't work in the real world. It's not helpful. It's not successful. It's a very flawed system. So when you take off the mask, you reveal it. So liberalism here is socialism and communism coming together. But the reason why I do this is I just try to speak truth to power. I try to highlight stories that should be getting more attention. And I try to provide a solid perspective on things that maybe you're unaware of. You know, stories you might not have heard of. Not everybody covers the exact same stories. And I think that's probably a good thing. We don't get marching orders. We find what we find. And by the way, if you have any stories that you want us to cover, drop it in the comments as well. Is the curse still holding up for Madden? Let's hope not. Let's hope not. I have Saquon Barkley in my Dynasty Football League, and I want to win that championship again. I really want to win that championship again. So anyway, all right. Let's go ahead and move on. This is a raid. ICE and DHS raided Democrat Jerry Nadler's office following accusations that he helped and harbored rioters.
No, she did not. That is not what happened.
That is not what happened.
Okay?
What?
Hold on a second. You have your contact information, right?
No, I'm going to give you time to speak to you.
Hey.
That's what I'm
I'll
going to
speak
do.
to you after.
We got you.
No.
We got you.
You're
okay.
I don't have to go.
You're okay. You're okay. You're going to be okay.
I'm a federal officer. We're here checking on something. We have the right to check.
Can I see a warrant?
I'm not resisting. Stop resisting. You harboring rioters in the office. So there's not a problem. Let's walk inside. Let's walk through.
For what?
Let me see what's in here.
Oh, so it's your office?
Let's go. Come on.
You stay in
Hold it there.
So, starting to get some indictments. Jerry Nadler's office. I think most Democrat offices need to be raided. I think they've absolutely been aiding and abetting criminal elements. They've been running a Gestapo technique to terrorize Americans. We saw it during the Floyd riots, the Summer of Love of 2020. We've watched this year after year, whether it's BLM, Antifa, Trantifa, Palestine. It's The same group of people on payroll, the professional outrage class, the college classes, and I don't mean going to class. I mean the group of impressionable 18-year-olds that don't know any better, who are manipulated and molded into the image of the Marxists to hate this country, to hate, just hate. Yeah, they are all compromised. So good. You're arresting a staffer in Jerry Nadler's office. Go after Jerry Nadler. Go after AOC. Go after Nancy Pelosi. Go after Adam Schiff. Go after Adam Kinzinger. Go after Liz Cheney. Go after the known traitors, because they are truly a cancer upon this country. We have common sense issues, infrastructure, defense, industry, common sense. And then we have the Democrat Party pushing what they've been pushing. Highly divisive, highly toxic, really anti-American treason. So good job. Good job, ICE. I'll ask in the comments, can we now raid Pelosi, Kinzinger, Schiff? What are the other names of the people I need to put in here? Shifty Schiff. Who's the other guy? Now I'm thinking of Nadler. I can see him 6 ways from Sunday. Schumer. I'll just say, and the other traitors. We'll go AOC, Omar, the squad. There we go. Yeah, this better not stop with one. All right, so here's a terrible story that we witnessed over the weekend. Joe Biden brought in an illegal alien. Well, here, let's just go ahead and press play. Take a listen. There was an attack in Colorado from an illegal alien terrorist.
I'm able to confirm there are 6 victims, ages 67 to 88. All of them have been transported to local hospitals.
By the way, let me give you an update on the status of these people. I did ask Grok before the show began. Attack in Boulder, Colorado, June 1st, 25. Injured 8 with injuries ranging from minor to critical. 4 women, 4 men, age 52 to 88, all elderly. They were affected primarily with burns. 2 victims airlifted to a burn unit in Aurora, with 1 reported in critical condition. Another victim, 88-year-old Holocaust survivor, was among those injured. Okay. All right. Hold on. Wait a second. Hold on. All right. The left, Joe Biden let in this terrorist. The Democrat Party let this terrorist in. Why aren't all of these 8 families suing the Democrat Party? Mayorkas, Obama, Biden, Otto Penn, Harris, who should have 25th him and who was the border czar, sue them personally, sue the Democrat Party into bankruptcy. You can sue Alex Jones for saying, oh, they're using Sandy Hook to take away our guns. Yeah, they never missed an opportunity to politicize every activity, every crime involving a gun to try to restrict our ability to defend ourselves from bad guys with guns. That is true. Okay, Jones went too far on some other points. Got it. But the point that every time there was an attack, the Obama administration was trying to disarm Americans so it would be harder for us to defend ourselves if another madman went on another attack like the one we just saw. That's true. Where are the lawsuits? What firm is going to start the class action to bankrupt the Democrat Party of traitors who have allowed all of these terrorists to invade the United States of America? Joe Biden's Democrat Party let in this terrorist to burn a Holocaust survivor. Let me repeat. Joe Biden's Democrat Party with Mayorkas, Kamala Harris, and everybody else, the DNC, their policy was to open the border to terrorists so they could invade America and burn a Holocaust survivor. You're burning a Holocaust survivor. Do you understand how comically monstrous this is? It's hold on. You're trying to burn a Holocaust victim. You're trying to incinerate a person that survived the Holocaust. That's what the Democrats stand for. The treason from the Democrats knows no bounds. I am very concerned about the 30 million illegal aliens still sitting pre-positioned across America as sleeper cells. Very concerned. Very, very concerned. Democrats support the burning of a Holocaust victim. You don't hate the Democrat Party enough. It's like this would be in an Alanis Morissette song. Isn't it ironic? It's like the Democrats burn a Holocaust victim. It's the grossest thing you could even imagine. They're all traitors to the USA. And who would have thought they're demons? Yeah, the Holocaust survivor must have been the 80-year. Yep, that was the 88-year-old Holocaust survivor. Others had minor to very serious injuries. 2 are critical. All right, so that's the rough update I was able to get off Grok. Let me go back to Instagram here.
This attack happened at a regularly scheduled weekly peaceful event.
Oh.
Witnesses are reporting that the subject used a makeshift flamethrower and threw an incendiary device into the crowd. The suspect was heard to yell, "Free Palestine," during the attack. The subject has been identified as Mohammed Sabri Solomon, and he's 45 years old. The FBI is processing the crime scene and the subject vehicle and interviewing key witnesses. We're assisting Boulder Police in providing technical, analytic, and additional forensic resources. As a result of these preliminary facts, it is clear that this is a targeted act of violence, and the FBI is investigating this as an act of terrorism. I'm able to confirm there are 6 victims, ages 6.
Time for every victim of Democrat migrant crime, migrant terrorist crime, to sue the DNC into bankruptcy. And it's time to charge Mayorkas, Biden, Harris, et al. With treason. That's what I think. The Democrats support burning an 88-year-old Holocaust survivor. The Democrats are the party of Palestine for some reason. Because reasons. Wow. I didn't have this story, like, I didn't know this story was going to hit me like the frying pan to the face like it just did. Anyway, that's your DNC. I say you sue them into oblivion. So what is this that Trump posted? Did you see this over the weekend? There's music that I'll mute. There is no Joe Biden. Joe Biden executed in 2020. Biden clones doubles in robotic engineered soulless mindless entities are what you see. Democrats don't know the difference. All right. You see this post here? Let me ask the crowd. Let me ask the group. Was Joe Biden removed and replaced with a clone in 2020? Joe Biden was removed and replaced with a clone in 2020. Do you agree or disagree? Tell me in the comments. There have been a lot of accusations of that. Gotta admit, dude sure looks different. Not just, oh yeah, of course he looks different. He's older. No. Like a lot of other things look different. It's a wild claim, though. Really? The president put this out? This is a Truth Social post? What do you make of that? Biden executed in 2020. Clones and doubles. Robotic engineered soulless mindless entities are what you see, and Democrats don't know the difference. All right. Stephen Miller here talking about the Democrats. Once again, this is a time to... It's not just about defeating the Democrats temporarily. They need to be destroyed as a political party because they are treasonous actors. They are people who are not working in the best interest of Americans. Therefore, when a government becomes injurious, reckless, totalitarian, it's our duty to replace them. Those are our governing documents. Here's Stephen Miller talking about it.
Committed to a series of beliefs that are like 10, 20% in support. So they have to be corrupt to get anything done. Men and women's sports, completely open borders, to the worst criminals on the face of the earth. A political party that's committed to raising taxes on everybody. If we can accomplish these reforms to just have a free and fair society, the Democrats are doomed. They cannot compete or operate in a fair system, which is why they have to rig it. They're committed to a series of beliefs that are like 10, 20.
Yeah, the president has 80-20 issues or 90-10 issues. Oh, look at that. I'm getting some comments in. Sing it, Brian. Nice soprano. Pretty good singing, Brian. I did not. Okay, for clarification. What did I call it? Comically demonic or something? Demonic, ironic. I could do a skit on that. I love doing musical skits. I've also noticed that recently something has changed with my voice. Something about my singing voice. I was over Easter and I was with family and we were jamming. It was awesome. Felt so good. I was trying to get one of them to play the drums so I could just focus on singing or whatever. Like, no. Well, just you go ahead. I'm like, I don't want to half this and half that and take my attention away. Like, I was playing drums and singing, like, probably the best I've ever done it. And then even in the shower and just kind of like around the house yesterday, I was hitting a lot of Chris Cornell notes, not like that super ear piercing Mariah Carey one, like that, not that note, but like all the other notes. And I've been able to, I don't know. I know I was just goofing around with my Alanis Morissette. Oh, the disclaimer is just that, like, when I called the burning of a Holocaust victim comically something, it's comical how demonic the Democrats and Democrat sympathizers and those aligned roughly with the majority of the Democrat ideologies. It's interesting just how demonic they can get. And it really is ironic. It's ironic how demonic the situation is. And it could not be illustrated more clearly than trying to burn a Holocaust survivor. It's just like, if you ever thought about this experience being a simulation or a video game, you see little moments where the universe winks at you. And you're like, all right, this is just the most absurd story I've read. Anyway, yeah, I thanks for the comments on the singing. I was having fun with it. Oh, good. My other cat's making a lot of noise now. All right, let's keep it moving. That was Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller again. We got double Stephen Miller. The Biden administration granted the alien in Colorado a visa. And then when he illegally overstayed, they gave him a work permit. Immigration security is national security. No more hostile migration. Keep them out and send them back. Do you agree or disagree? If it's fairly obvious you're trying to destroy the United States of America, I don't want you here. No, thank you. So here's a watchdog group. We are Breitbart reporting. Let me just go ahead and read this on the side while you glance at the headline there. The head of a pro-American energy watchdog group says his investigation into several of former President Joe Biden's climate-related executives' actions uncovered criminal and evil evidence that members of the White House acted without presidential authorization while he was in mental decline. People, Biden was asleep at the switch. It was Obama's people running the White House. Obama quite famously, I often say to Michelle, if I could maybe run a third term, another term, from my wearing sweatpants, with an earpiece in the basement, and there could be a guy up there or a girl, and I could, maybe give him the old okey doke and tell him what to say, and maybe serve a third shadow term. I'd do that. I've told Michelle quite a bit. That would be maybe the best scenario. So I could get 4 years of my most honest policies, but with the added bonus of getting to blame all of the failures on an old white guy. That's the Obama doctrine. Yeah. Of course, there were criminal, evil evidence that the members of the White House acted without the presidential authorization while he was in mental decline. We do know this. Energy expert Daniel Turner, founder of the Power of the Future, the nonprofit that released a damning report last week, revealing that at least 8 major actions taken by President Biden were allegedly signed by AutoPen, joined the latest episode of Breitbart News Saturday to highlight the gravity of his organization's findings and of other similar reports. So the more we learn about this Biden sham, the more we find out just how bad it was. Shifting gears here to global issues, Raging West says Poland will now withdraw from the EU Migration Pact. An EU Migration Pact? How about no? How about no? The EU is being dismantled, says Raging West. Let me see what the EU Migration Pact. Let me see. Let me ask Garak. I mean, I have. Define the EU Migration Pact. I don't know if that's like a good name to actually. EU Pact on Migration and Asylum. Effective from June 26. Okay, proposed by the EU in September 2020. Addressing challenges of irregular migration, streamlining asylum. Agreed upon in December 23, adopted by European Parliament April 24, approved by the Council of the EU in May 24, despite opposition from Hungary and Poland. 1 million asylum seekers arriving in Europe, or invaders, or a conquering army, or a caliphate. What do you want to call it? But a nation can't survive with rampant. When you have so much turnover that you have zero culture, assimilation is the cornerstone to migration. Without assimilation, you create enclaves. That's what you have in Somalia. I'm sorry, Minnesota. That's what, and in Columbus, Ohio. That's what you have in Europe. No-go zones. Groups invading a sovereign nation. What were they trying to build in Texas? They're trying to do 600 acres of their own community with their own rules and their own laws. It's like, hold on, you don't get to plant your flag and create your own country in our country. That's an invasion. That's a takeover. So migration without assimilation is a conquest. And that, at the core, is the Obama doctrine that I've been talking about for a long time. Deb saying, yes, that sounds like the Biden administration from the basement, earpiece in place. Oh, all right, Joe. Joe, I'm going to need you to repeat the fine people hoax. Yeah, we know. Yes, we know even Snopes will no longer continue that lie. The one Chris Matthews, I'm sorry, Chris Wallace. Yes, the same lie that Chris Wallace used in the 2020 Trump-Biden debate on Fox. Yes, that did prove Fox was in on it as well to take out President Trump. So go ahead and repeat that old okey doke. The thing I tell Michelle all the time. President Trump called Nazis and white supremacists fine people. It did not happen. In fact, the literal next sentence debunks that. But I think a majority of Americans are so fucking stupid. I bet they'll believe it if we just keep repeating the biggest bullshit lie you could imagine. And that way I could use my racial arson, my unique brand of racial arson, to try to continue destroying this country and fundamentally change the United States of America. Now, go out there, you big dumb old bastard, and repeat the fine people hoax. Okay. Okie doke. Okay. Yes, that sounds like Biden administration in the basement. A naughty auto pen indeed. You coming up too? Come on. Hey, let's get an appearance from Mr. Bean. Bum, bum, ba-da. You don't see Ben up here very often, do ya? Mr. Bean was asking for some attention. Let's go ahead and see if we can tilt this and show you more Ben. Look at this guy. Mr. Bean is not your traditional lap cat. He's one of your traditional feral guys. He does like the snuggles. But I think he prefers the brushes. But, oh, he's purring. Yeah, I adopted Mr. Bean and his 3 siblings because I had mama and daddy at the building next door, and these 4 started hanging out on my porch in the cold. Do you hear him purring? Can you hear it? Maybe if you turn up the volume. Oh, he's a drooler. That's right. Can't have you over the keyboard, but oh, you did drool on the keyboard. All right. Here, let's go this way. All right. Here, you're shedding, and I'm wearing a black shirt today. Thank you, sir. Anyway, there's Mr. Bean. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that, but he did drool. But I do have a cover over my keyboard. Today's show's off the rails. I'm like, I have a plan. I'm going to come in. I'm going to have this super focused show. Yeah, he's Mr. Bean or Ben. David saying everything is totally corrupted. My Obama diction and cadence is spot on. Thank you. I do enjoy that. I personally like when Bobby Kennedy gets to talk to Barack Obama. You know, Bobby. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But I should do a skit where I get to, sir, I said, sir. And you could have Tucker just watching and cracking up. That's it. I gotta do a skit with Elon and Obama and Trump. I gotta do that. That is maybe that's what I should work on this week. See if I can put a little skit together. That'd be kind of fun. Anyway, let's keep it going. So Poland is withdrawing from the EU migration pact. They're like, hey, no more migration, please. And by please, we mean we're a sovereign nation. We determine it. All right. This is being shared. Hang on. From the Real State of America, side by side. There we go. It's been revealed the Biden-Harris administration dismissed more than 65,000 reports on migrant children, including 7,300 plus confirmed cases of human trafficking. Senator Chuck Grassley has handed these findings to HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for investigation. Congressman Brandon Gill chimes in and says Biden allowed Islamic terrorist Mohammed Suleiman into the country under a B-1, B-2 visa program. He overstayed his visa, so Biden awarded him with a work permit. He then overstayed his work permit before brutally attacking American Jews. Uncontrolled mass migration is suicidal. Do you agree or disagree? So there we have it. Uncontrolled mass migration is suicidal. I completely agree. I'd like to know if you agree or if you disagree. All right. Deb said she would pay to see that skit, Brian. No joke. Great impressions. Thank you. I have a lot of fun doing them. I should really record them and hone in on how to tweak the timbre. And I don't know. I just know when I do some of them and I glance and I'll listen to, it still cracks me up. And if it cracks me up, I figure it's worth trying out on the general public. All right. Remember this? This is Elon talking with the BBC. Where's the volume? There we go. Talking about the COVID misinformation labels.
You changed the COVID misinformation.
Has
rules.
BBC changed its COVID misinformation?
The BBC does not set the rules on Twitter, so I'm asking you.
No, I'm talking about the BBC's misinformation about COVID.
I'm literally asking you about, you changed the labels, the COVID misinformation labels. There used to be a policy, it then disappeared. Why do that?
Well, COVID is no longer an issue. Does the BBC hold itself at all responsible for misinformation regarding masking and side effects of vaccinations and not reporting on that at all? And what about the fact that the BBC was put under pressure by the British government to change its editorial policy? Are you aware of that?
This is not an interview about the BBC.
Oh, so. You thought it wasn't?
And I see now why you've done Twitter Spaces. I am not a representative of the BBC's editorial policy. I want to make that clear. Let's talk about something else. You want to talk about the BBC?
You too.
All right, let's talk about something else.
You weren't expecting that.
Let's talk about something else. COVID.
I've seen this before, but I found it interesting again because this is maybe before we knew what Elon was all about. Before we really were able to look, we've learned a lot more about Elon over the past year. And he took a pretty strong question from Peter Doocy in the White House and turned around. Oh, so the same organization that pushed the fake Russia collusion hoax that has to give back their Pulitzers, or they should be giving back their Pulitzers, that organization? Next question. Yeah. I think it's wise to keep a moderate level of caution about Elon. We shouldn't trust anybody too completely, but look, Elon's been doing a lot of good things over the years. And yeah, Elon's saying, does the BBC hold itself at all responsible for misinforming regarding masking and the side effects of certain policies? That's a question that needs to be asked. That's true journalism right there. All right, let's take a look at this. DHS and Senator Marsha Blackburn, slams Nashville mayor for releasing names and images of federal ICE agents.
The Department of Homeland Security and Senator Marsha Blackburn calling out Nashville's mayor after his office posted encounters with ICE agents, including their names.
Critics say Mayor Freddie O'Connell releasing the names was no mistake, putting federal agents in danger. Supporters of the mayor say it wasn't done maliciously, but the mayor has not responded to our inquiries today. The names of ICE officers and Homeland Security investigators are no longer on the Office of New Americans website. The Nashville mayor's office removing the information late last night. The mayor's spokesperson previously told Fox 17 News it made interaction with ICE agents public for transparency. But Thursday, outrage continues from GOP lawmakers. Senator Marsha Blackburn tells me what Mayor Freddie O'Connell did put federal agents in harm's way.
It is surprising and disappointing.
The U.S. Department of Homeland Security also says in part, quote, Mayor Freddie O'Connell put out the names of Homeland Security investigators and Dockster ICE officers. They claimed it was a mistake. There's zero chance it was a mistake, and there will be repercussions, end quote. Both DHS and Senator Blackburn mentions how this provides criminals like gang members with sensitive information.
We know that our ICE agents have seen an uptick in assaults, over a 400% increase. They're rooting out these Tren de Aragua and MS-13 gang members.
Senator Blackburn wants DHS to investigate Mayor O'Connell.
The issue with that is the names were out there. And there are thousands of screenshots. The damage has been done.
The Department of Homeland Security and Senator Marsha Blackburn calling out Nashville's mayor after his office posted encounters with ICE agents, including their name.
This is happening. You have traitors inside of the U.S. government who are siding with the illegal alien invaders over Americans. I just don't, for the life of me, understand how they can sleep at night. Newsmax reporting. Let's shift gears to the main story here. A watchdog investigator on Sunday said that while East Palestine, Ohio, was dealing with the aftermath of the 2023 toxic train derailment, the Biden administration discussed internally whether to publicly release a report detailing the derailment may have caused cancer clusters. Well, there's a quote. The Democrat Party is one big cancer cluster. Defend Ohio, defend America, bankrupt, and destroy the deep state Democrat Party. I take this personal. That's where I'm from Ohio. You mess with my state, you're messing with me directly. Nobody in their right minds says, oh, all those toxic chemicals, those pose a risk. Let's burn them. That is not. That is not. Nobody does that. Nobody says, oh, look at all this poison. Let's explode it. Anyway, here's a picture of this. And by the way, I'm going to get back to the East Palestine story in a second. I'm just kind of bouncing through my stories here on Instagram. Oh, by the way, I didn't put it in the captions yet. We do have all the places scrolling at the bottom of the screen where you can follow the New American Media. Please do. And our tip jar is right down here. We're on Patreon at the New American Media, Venmo and Cash App at Brian Engelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment. So if anybody wants to leave a tip, you can do so at that place. If anybody would like some of the coasters, I do a sports show called The Unhappy Hour. $75 for everything you're looking here, shipping included. If you want just one 4-pack of wooden Ohio-made The Unhappy Hour sports show coasters, shaped in a circle or shaped like the state of Ohio, just shoot a $30 Venmo. That covers shipping. And I will send this out to you as long as you include your address in the Venmo comments box, of course. If you want just a pin, it's $25. That includes shipping. Only 100 of these will ever be made. Or it's $50 for both of the coaster sets. Shipping included. All right. Those donation links are at the bottom of the screen. Oh, I'll tell you about this as well at the bottom of the screen. Watch our TNAM documentary, Hurricane Helene, Help on the Way. It's on Rumble and YouTube. Thank you to Blake Wally and to Grizzly for helping put that together. You know, I had an opportunity to go to East Palestine, and I was really committing myself during that 2-year stretch to like journalism, media, independent projects, all that stuff. I went for it, but I didn't trust that it was safe to go to East Palestine, so I didn't. We did go to Western North Carolina to tour the hurricane damage, and there was plenty of toxic materials everywhere there because everything leached into the water and it spread poison everywhere, really. I couldn't get behind doing the East Palestine thing. Anyway, I digress. All right, here's the guy that went on the terrorist attack yesterday. Benny Johnson said, this is the perfect snapshot of what the modern Democrat Party stands for. Here's a criminal alien. Here's the Muslim terrorist burning innocent Americans alive for their free speech under a transgender flag. And a Democrat district judge will probably block his deportation.
We're here, brother. We're here. We can't do nothing about that. We can't do nothing. We can. Not here. You have to end service. Not here, bro. You're not.
I'm taking video right now.
So how is this? How did this end?
Spraying alcohol.
Spraying alcohol, but what he did was he made it look like he was here.
He's making Molotov cocktails.
Is nobody armed here? How is this guy taken out?
Well, we can't do it when he's got Molotov cocktails in there.
If you are fighting,
you have to. That's what he's got right here. Is Molotov cocktails.
yeah, kill him.
Get back, Mom.
We're fucking God.
Stay.
Good job.
We're here. We can't.
Anyway. So Benny Johnson says Fox News has been informed by 3 DHS sources. The Boulder terrorist Mohammed Soliman, Egyptian nationalist, entered under Biden, overstated visa, and then got a work authorization. So how was... I got the question. Let me go to Grok. What happened to the Colorado attacker? arrested at the scene. He wasn't shot or anything. I mean, he's attacking people with flames. 2 counts of first-degree murder, despite no reported deaths. 1 count of attempted murder, 1 count of first-degree assault, 1 count of causing serious injury to an at-risk adult or over someone over 70. Yeah, an elderly. A count of using explosives or incendiary devices. Being held on a $10 million bond. All right, let's see if a judge reduces that and makes it easier for him to get out. Crazy people playing with fire. Deb, geez, I love pale shirtless rednecks first thing with my coffee. He's an Egyptian, I guess. He's an Egyptian Muslim terrorist. It once again goes to show it doesn't matter what you look like. It matters how you act. Do you act like an asshole? It doesn't matter if the melanin in your skin. Are you white? Are you black? Are you this? Are you that? It doesn't matter. It matters if you act like an asshole. Did they just stand there while a crazy person with liquids was going off? Yes, they did. Where were the good guys with the weapons to defend themselves against a guy trying to end their lives? Anyway, speaking of things going up in flames, let's talk about this. Clint Russell, who I had on the program last year. Oh, wait, hold on. I got to switch the tab that I'm sharing. Had Clint Russell as a guest on the program. There we go. Last year, shortly after President Trump survived Butler, Pennsylvania, following Clint Russell's strong performance at the Libertarian Convention in Washington, D.C. He says here, imagine if someone blew up 34% of America's nuclear bomber fleet. That's what Ukraine and NATO just did to Russia yesterday, a day before peace negotiations were set to begin. How would the U.S. respond? Oh, man. Yeah. It does not seem like peace is wanted by the deep state, that's for sure. You know, I was cautiously optimistic they were going to be having peace talks, but then if this is what's happening, I mean, they're clearly signaling there is no backing down. There is no peace agreement. Red Pill Truth gives you this, and I will ask you the question if you agree or disagree. If you're from the middle, Red Pill Truth says, I have to break the news to you. If you're from the Middle East, they say, it's time for you to go back to your home country. Your culture and values aren't a good fit for the United States and the West. Your religion is not compatible with our Constitution and a free society. If you are here illegally from any other country, you also need to leave. If you like what is here, please go home and make your country like ours. The blueprint is the Constitution. Do you agree or disagree? What say you? Do you agree or disagree with this dude? Vote on our poll on Instagram. Representative Thomas Massey has introduced some pretty strong bills. Let's see if we like them. A bill to abolish the Federal Reserve. I'm in. A bill to terminate the Department of Education. I thought we've already done that, but yeah, let's do it twice. Yeah, but you already drove a stake into the vampire's heart. All right, I'll do it twice. You mean education's like vampiric? No, I mean it's manipulative. And it's globalist, deep state, Democrat drivel propaganda. Done with it. End the federal ban of raw milk. Why is raw milk banned? I don't fully understand that at all. Stop the COVID vax mandates. Who's still mandating that? And yes, that should have never. It's up to us what we decide to do. It's not up to you. Yeah, but you have to protect everyone. Well, if everyone else wants to get it, they can get it and be protected. Well, what if it doesn't work? Well, if it doesn't work, that's why I'm not doing it. So stay out of my personal medical life, all right? Yeah, well, that's not the same about abortion. That's about a third life. There's a human life it's protecting that life. Yes, it still is on brand for that, by the way. Massey introduced a bill to quit taxing tips and to prohibit the funding of censorship. What else needs to stop today to improve life in America? Good question. So yeah, Benny here is saying newly uncovered emails reveal the Biden admin deliberately covered up the health risks from East Palestine train derailment. They knew about the cancer clusters, but told the public there was nothing to worry about. FEMA and the White House covered up East Palestine devastation. Here's the exclusive from Rich McHugh, News Nation. After officials burned 5 tankers containing 115,000 gallons of toxic vinyl chloride, residents were sick and crying out for help. September 23, 7 months later, Biden issued an executive order sending FEMA exec Jim McPherson to East Palestine to assess the community's unmet needs. New documents obtained through FEMA FOIA Act show extensive coordination between FEMA, White House, NSC, National Security Council, the EPA, DOJ, voicing serious concerns about health toxins and the unmet needs of East Palestine involving the train derailment. But publicly, their message was that there was nothing to those concerns. It showed that FEMA knew healthcare was the number one issue. Leslie Pacey told News Nation. Pacey's an investigator with the Government Accountability Project who sued to get these documents when FEMA refused to turn them over. Dinesh D'Souza resharing Lauren Witzke saying Indians won't be a minority in India, Chinese won't be a minority in China, Arabs won't be a minority in Arabia, Jews won't be a minority in Israel, and this is a great thing. Yet when whites complain about Europeans becoming a minority in their own countries, our media calls it white supremacy. Why is this? Well, who controls the media? Oh boy, I left some breadcrumbs on that one, didn't I? Miss Muckraker puts a few posts out saying only 19% of Americans believe the Democrat Party can effectively get things done, and just 16% view them as having strong leaders, per CNN in an SSRS poll. Those numbers are too high. Texas Rangers remain the only Major League Baseball team that does not host a Pride Night. Miss Muckraker says transgender service members are required to voluntarily separate from active duty service by June 6th, and those who do not comply by this deadline will face involuntary discharge. New post, interesting, isn't it? The things we've said for years are now news headlines. President Trump shared a wild conspiracy theory late Saturday that claimed former President Joe Biden had actually been executed in 2020 and was replaced by soulless and mindless clones. Without commenting on the merits of the bonkers conspiracy theory, Trump shared a post on Truth Social from Lil JH, a little-known user with fewer than 1,000 followers. There is no Joe Biden. Executed in 2020, Biden clones, doubles, and robotic engineered soulless, mindless entities are what you see. Publius shared an ICE update. After agents raided Florida job site and arrested 100 plus illegals, Henrik Brothers Construction is now sweating, unsure if they can finish by fall without the cheap labor. They were building student housing for Florida State University and now cannot meet the deadline. Is this what you voted for? ICE arrests have reached a Trump administration high of 1,600 per day since the inauguration, per the ICE director. Poland chose Christian nationalism over communist globalism. Thanks for playing, says Raging West. Failed Democrat vice presidential candidate Tim Walz says Democrats need to bully the shit out of Trump back. Wow, sounds like a call to violence from Tampon Tim. And those are your Instagram stories that I wanted to share with you. Oh my gosh, we got Kenneth in the house too. Hello, hello. Ukraine is in big trouble. Trump's also mad at Putin, so we'll see how it plays out. All right, let's scroll through X. Make sure you check out, this is a link here. It's pinned to our X feed, our conversation with Mr. John B. Wells, and our Patreon link if you'd like to subscribe to become a member. What is this? Now check this out. Dom Luker. This says News Nation journalist Ross Coulthert claiming that an apocalyptic event will happen in 2027. Everybody's telling me that we're on borrowed time. I cannot begin to emphasize how serious a look I get. They're saying to me, people have a right to know this. Well, here, let's just play the clip. I don't want to read it all.
There's certainly something going to happen in 2027, and I don't know what it is.
Okay.
I've also heard 2034, and I've also heard other dates, much later. But depends who you talk to. Some people say it's a pole reversal. Some people say it's an asteroid hitting the planet. Some people say it's AI reaching quantum, and then all of a sudden we lose the capacity to have control of our own computer systems. I have no idea. What I am aware of is that everybody's telling me we're on borrowed time. And I cannot begin to emphasize how serious a look I get when I say to people who are confiding in me, what's the timescale on this? And they're urging me to be urgent. They're saying to me, people need the right to know this. They have a right to know this. And I'm going, well, what are we talking about? And I feel like shaking these people and saying, for God's sake, just bloody tell me. And they are all constrained by their national security oaths. They want the public to know this.
Do they want us to know it? I don't think they do. Can you put any stock or any faith in what this guy said? I don't know. But, I mean, what was the deep state plan? Let Trump get 3 years of turning things around, and then you unleash holy hell on him for the last year and a half. Right before those 2028 elections, huh? Gunther Eagleman puts out a horrific 7 minutes of testimony from an eyewitness. Listen to every second of this. Guy says, I mean, his leg from ankle or foot all the way up to his buttocks was melted. His skin was basically melted off. We have to get these illegals out, no exceptions. That is just brutal. I'm not going to play you the 7 minutes, but here's another 7 minute clip, but I'll let Alex explain. If you missed the Bono stuff, we talked about it on, I think, on Saturday, claiming 300,000 people have been unalived because U.S. aid is no longer money laundering. Well, let's listen to what Alex is saying here.
Bono tried to go on Joe Rogan's podcast and say that Elon Musk and Trump have killed 300,000 people cutting U.S. aid money. Total lie. He's the one, famously, that steals 99% of the charity money, over $8 billion he's raised to feed starving Africans. He is a master criminal, and his lies have completely blown up in his face. And I guarantee he flew into Austin to be on Joe's podcast last week with U.S. aid money and stolen charity money. Guaranteed there should be an investigation, but it shows that these criminals are desperate, and that's why they're crawling out from underneath their rocks. The spotlight of truth is on these cockroaches.
300,000 people have already died from just this cut-off, this hard cut of USAID.
For sure, it was a money laundering operation. For sure, there was no oversight. For sure, billions of dollars are missing. In fact, trillions that are unaccounted for, that were sent off into various... They don't even know where because there's no receipts.
The U.S. Agency for International Aid is a CIA front on record to manipulate, and control, and overthrow governments. It literally promotes the transgenderism, pedophilia, you name it, worldwide, the entire anti-human system.
All right, he's going to go on and go on, but yeah, watch the rest of this video if you missed it. Yeah, that Bono clip was crazy. For what reason is Bono up to his neck in this stuff? All right. Glenn Greenwald, over the weekend, we did a show saying Glenn Greenwald said what or did what? We covered some of the stuff that was leaked out on video. So Glenn Greenwald says, all right, serious, thoughtful question. How have you been able to separate what you regard as Donald Trump's inspired and noble political leadership from the repeated behaviors in his private life, long considered deeply immoral and degenerate under the most widespread and long-standing Christian and Western moral dogma? Overlapping affairs and marriages, serial adulteries, affairs with porn stars that he paid to cover up, closely cavorting with Jeffrey Epstein after he was publicly convicted of sex trafficking of minors, boasting of grabbing women's pussies without asking, and I could go on and on. We'll leave to the side the multiple allegations of sexual assault from various women to whom he wasn't married, even though one of them was repeatedly upheld in court. Brian Cates responds and says, way to take everything you were trying to show the world about what Israel is doing in Gaza by doing the Tucker interview and rendering that totally and completely irrelevant because you think attacking Trump's private life is going to score points for you. You are now irrelevant because you have made yourself so. So the Glenn Greenwald fallout continues. And yes, the cat has been found. So happy about that, David. Deb from Sacramento saying that John B. Wells interview was off the hook. What did you like most about that John B. Wells interview? Deb? I particularly loved the part where I talked to John for the first time in many years. It's been a long time. We used to do shows with him a couple times a year. Deb is saying the UFO community speakers make their money through fear and selling hopium, such BS. The same UFO community that was selling 2012 end of the world stuff, yes. Did Bono have mono? By the way, if any of you are dealing with bats and their guano, I'd love to hear from you. If you had bats, because I may have a bat situation in my house. So trying to figure that out. If so, what did you do to alleviate that? All right, let's continue. Bill Maher can sometimes hit the nail on the head, and this is one of those times. Let's take a listen.
This is a serious problem for Democrats. Less than 1 in 4 Democrats under 30 say they're proud to be an American.
Less than 1 in 4 Democrats say they're proud to be an American because they're being told to hate themselves. They're being indoctrinated to hate themselves through the media, through the educators, and through their Democrat politicians. They peddle anti-American poison.
54% say they're embarrassed by it.
Because of the teachers and their media.
Embarrassed? Like America's your mom picking you up at school? You're embarrassed to be an American? Well, guess what? The feeling's mutual. Because you have no perspective. Is America perfect? No, of course not. No country is. Although don't get Tucker Carlson started on Russia. Globalize the intifada is the catchphrase that's really catching on these days, as if worldwide suicide bombing and cosplaying Islamic revolutionaries is the answer to our problems. At an AOC Bernie Sanders rally in Idaho last month, someone threw a Palestinian flag over an American flag, and the crowd erupted in approval. What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, this is not a symbol of freedom. This is.
Did you hear how tepid that applause was in the theater? They are so brainwashed to hate America, they couldn't understand a pro-American stance when it literally hit them in the face right here. Applaud, you clowns. Go. Listen to their tepid applause.
Loyal followers, this is not a symbol of freedom. This is. If the thought leaders in the Democratic Party keep encouraging and not rebuking the idea that America is cringe and the people who run Gaza are great, the Democrats are doomed. Alyssa Slotkin's right. Liberals are weak and woke, especially the white ones, and they indulge all sorts of nonsense from their kids, a pattern that then continues on in the Democratic Party. Last election, it was all...
Did he say weak, white, woke? Let me rewind that. Did he say weak, white, woke?
And they indulge all sorts of nonsense from their kids, a pattern that then continues on in the Democratic Party. Last election, it was all the gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such. And now I fear that we like the terrorists is the new that. Liberals need to push back on the dumb ideas that come from their children. The Democrats' problem is the energy of the party is with the young, and the young are with the terrorists. That's not good. So talk to your children and remind them, you don't really want to live like your heroes in Hamas. All the shit you do all day, it was all made in America. Your smartphone, your Grubhub, your freedom to bitch about America, that's all American stuff. You tell your phone you want a milkshake, and a guy brings it to your house. Please, you couldn't survive a week living
in Intifadaville. Was the final line there. Amuse reporting. Yeah, but
Seriously, this is a serious problem.
Bill Maher has been coming around on some levels, but more work is to be done. Bill still has Trump derangement syndrome at a level that is really terrifying. But keep bringing him around. Kid Rock brought him to the White House, and Trump makes a lot of sense. He's like, public Trump is different than private Trump. It's like, it's entertainment. You know what entertainment is. You perform every week. Come on now. Bill Maher might be coming around. I don't know if it's fake applause in the studio, but I mean, like they're definitely putting the applause lines up, and some, to some degree, it's fake. Look, if it's a studio environment, they tell you when to clap like seals. I was on a game show, and I was at peak week with spring break. They'll play you a song, but they don't show you that song was recorded 7 times with the same audience, just so you can make sure you get the perfect version of a blended recording to get the perfect performance to show all the perfect angles. It's like, it's so fake. Everything's so fake. Anyway, I asked what you liked about the interview with John B. Wells, and you said, I respect John B. Wells because he's a man of faith and speaks boldly about it. Plus, he's a patriot. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. All right. Let's see what Amuse is reporting. Taxpayers spend $800,000 a month on hotels in Ukraine for Senators Graham and Blumenthal's junket. The Kyiv Hilton, $814,000 for rooms for Senator Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal and their entourage. Total cost of the trip is likely over $3 million. Graham has made 8 or 9 similar trips to Ukraine, costing taxpayers more than $25 million. Why? Amuse said, when I heard Zelensky launch the largest drone attack in history against Russia's nuclear deterrent, I immediately looked to see where Senator Graham was. Not shockingly, he was in Kyiv. Then I saw his hotel bill. $800,000 to stay at the Hilton Kyiv? This war can't end soon enough. Hey, speaking of explosions, check this out. People running. Whoa, yeah, I'd run too. Mount Etna in Italy has suddenly erupted. Exploded suddenly? All right, Elon Musk is sharing the cat turd posting here. We know where Cory Booker learned his Nazi salute from. There's Harris doing it. There's Clinton. Oh, she's looking in a direction and her arm is outstretched. There's Obama doing it. Oh, there's Pocahontas doing it. Libs of TikTok say, Newsweek when it's Elon. They say 80 years after Auschwitz, Elon Musk keeps the fascist salute alive. But here's Newsweek when it's Cory Booker. MAGA accuses Democratic Senator Cory Booker of doing a Nazi salute. Pure trash propaganda. This guy was ejected because he tapped his helmet. That was interesting. Don't need to play it for you, but you can watch it. Liz Churchill saying those exempt from Biden's vaccine mandates. I'm wanting to double check if this is accurate. Congress and the legislative branch, the congressional staff, the judicial branch, the White House staff, CDC employees, FDA employees, USPS employees, NIAID employees, Pfizer employees, Moderna employees, and illegal aliens exempt from Biden's vaccine mandates. True or false? I mean, I think that's generally true, or mostly true at least. The assassination attempt of President Trump. The would-be assassin charged with attempted first-degree murder and terrorism, yes. Here's this guy doing a 10-minute rant about who he is.
56 from the U.S., from North Carolina, originally.
And Ukrainian ties. Ukrainian ties. Alex has this guy on. Let's get a couple seconds here related to that topic.
You know, I'm seeing the awakening, but I'm also seeing the issue with the, echo chamber. I'm from Hollywood. I grew up in Hollywood. I have a lot of colleagues that I wish would open their eyes. It's almost like they're trapped within this homogenous system. They're too scared to speak out. Fear is a big thing, and if I could credit you and also President Trump, it's because of people like you that people like me have had the courage watching President Trump, watching the work that you do to actually come out of the closet, so to speak, and really fight for the real thing. And, I left a very healthy six-figure salary in Hollywood. There was a lot of sacrifice in that. And I got to tell you, I've never felt better. I've never felt better because I'm actually feeling like I'm actually following in the footsteps of Jesus Christ, which is my primary goal. This is a battle between good and evil. I would say this is a war between good and evil. We can't afford to lose this war for truth. And so I thank you for being such an inspiration in that process. I'm in California now, and I'm driving up to Coachella, and I have a special pass, which I got an invite from the Nevada Clark County Republican Party, right? And the individual, by the way, is willing to go on the record saying that, and he's really high up in the Nevada Republican Party, he's willing to say that he's the one that got me those passes. It was a special invite. So as I'm driving to the parking lot where the special invitees park, I see a sheriff or somebody wearing a sheriff vest on the side of the road. So I drive up to him and I tell him, just like I do every single time as a common courtesy, look, I have a couple of firearms in the back. I'm certainly not going to take him inside the rally, just letting you know out of common courtesy. Well, this time, this gentleman tells me to pull over. And then another cop comes to my door and says, get out of the car, turn around, and then he handcuffs me. And they throw me in the back of a police car. They come up to me, they say, hey, we just care to know if these guns were lawfully registered. Could we check the serials? And I say, sure, I have nothing to hide. You could grab the serials. They're part of the National Registry. These were purchased lawfully. Well, they start ransacking the crap out of my car. I'm talking about they're doing, bomb sniffing dogs. They're going into the actual muffler and doing some kind of swab test. They're going inside the hood of the car. I had 3 luggages in there with clothing, equipment, media equipment, computers, all of that. They go through everything. And guess what? They don't find anything. And it was very obvious what they're trying to find, if there was any meat on those bones, of whatever crazy theory that they had, right?
We interrupt our program.
So if that sounds interesting, check out that chat. Yeah, they're saying Trump assassination suspect joined Alex Jones to set the record straight as the arresting sheriff admits that Vem Miller never said he was going to off the president and they was given bad info. Yeah, almost like a swatting or a doxing. So here are mass deportations. Construction crews near Tallahassee, Florida, Florida deportation laws. Workers only have 2 men left after workers were rounded up by ICE. Interesting. Hire Americans. Yeah, I mean, construction is a good gig. Teach people useful skills. Hire Americans. What are you doing? Hire Americans. Carolyn Levitt Daily News sharing. Says here they came up with a list. Now this is parody account. But what do you think about this? A current top 9 list of who Kash Patel needs to arrest. How do you feel about this list, folks? And who is this list missing? George Soros, Alejandro Mayorkas, Nancy Pelosi, Merrick Garland, Adam Schiff, Anthony Fauci, Hillary Clinton, Liz Cheney, AOC. Yeah. I would say Anthony Fauci is my number one. Just start with him and we'll go from there. Hang on, we got to see why Nick Chubb is trending. Did he get signed somewhere? Nope, that's the Chubb Theater. Nope. Where's Nick Chubb? Free agents still available. Whoa. Aaron Rodgers, Amari Cooper, J.K. Dobbins, Nick Chubb, Keenan Allen, Von Miller. Wow. Come on. Let's see where Nick Chubb is playing next year. There's the aftermath of that attack. Blame this atrocity on Alejandro Mayorkas and the rest of the corrupt Biden regime, it says. Did I scroll to it? Yeah. Including Hillary and Obama. This kind of shit was their goal. Ugh. I meme, therefore I am, says, never forget that 3 House Republicans voted against the impeachment of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas in February 24. Ken Buck, Colorado. Mike Gallagher, Wisconsin. Tom McClintock, California. Yeah, these are all liberal hellscapes. Wisconsin, Colorado, California. They've allowed their citizens to suffer under backward policies that harm the citizens in favor of the criminals. Criminality everywhere you look. The Soros DAs not arresting, not treating the chemical dependency issues, the crazy mental health issues, the chemical dependency issues, the drug issues, the mental health issues, the blatant just criminality, the violence in these places. So you have that. Biden, the first president in America's history to encourage, orchestrate, fund, and demand an invasion on America's homeland. Just image after image after image after image. 30 million. An absolute invasion of the United States of America. This is what we're trying to climb out of.
The Biden administration made a political decision to cancel deportation flights to Haiti. They did that.
Look at that.
8 days later, these numbers appeared. On September 8th, underneath this bridge, there were between 700 and 1,000.
Is that Ted Cruz talking in the background?
But when the word got out that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were no longer deporting people who came from Haiti, suddenly everyone who was here called their friends, called their family, and the numbers surged to 10,503. That's what's here today. It is more than the capacity of the Border Patrol to handle. This is the result of a political decision. This is a result that is indefensible. What we are seeing here, this is wrong. This is inhumane. And this is entirely caused by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Yep, entirely caused by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. All right, on Face the Nation, we have Dr. McCary dealing with CBS's Margaret Brennan. Oh, she's one of the worst. So let's take a listen to this conversation about a very important national health topic. President Trump, Bobby Kennedy. There's a new focus on health. Dr. McCary is here.
Can you clearly state what the policy is? Because this is confusing.
Yeah, we believe the recommendation should be with the patient and their doctor. So we're going to get away from.
And by the way, it's not confusing.
State what the policy is, because this is confusing.
Yeah, we believe the recommendation should be with the patient and their doctor. So we're going to get away from these blanket recommendations in healthy young Americans, because we don't want to see, well, on the COVID vaccine schedule, we don't want to see kids kicked out of school because a 12-year-old girl is not getting her 5th COVID booster shot. We don't see the data there to support a young, healthy child getting a repeat infinite annual COVID vaccine. There's a theory that we should sort of blindly approve the new COVID boosters in young, healthy kids every year in perpetuity, and a young girl born today should get 80 COVID mRNA shots or other COVID shots in her average lifespan. We're saying that's a theory, and we'd like to check in and get some randomized controlled data. It's been about 4 years since the original randomized trials. So we'd like an evidence-based approach. Dr. Prasad and I published this in the New England Journal of Medicine last week, and we're basically saying we'd like to bring some confidence back to the public around this repeat booster strategy theory, because
your statement was not about repeat boosters. It says the vaccine is not recommended for pregnant women. The vaccine is not recommended for healthy children. That's different than annual boosters.
Yeah, at this point, we're dealing, it is a booster strategy. People would be getting the updated shot. So whether or not a young, healthy
kids who haven't gotten
so we'd like
shot?
to see the data. We'd love to see that
No,
data
but on a
doesn't
practical
exist.
level, for a parent at home hearing you and trying to make sense
We're
here.
saying take it back to your
If
doctor.
their child has not been vaccinated, are you recommending that their first encounter with COVID be an actual infection?
We're not going to push the COVID shot in young, healthy kids without any clinical trial data supporting it. That is a decision between a parent and their doctor. And just so, I don't know if you know these statistics, but for 88% of American kids, their parents have said no to the COVID shot last season. So the vast majority of Americans are saying no. Maybe they want to see some clinical data as well. Maybe they have concerns about the safety.
I don't want to crowdsource my health guidance. I want a clear thing, right? You don't go with popularity. You go with, as you're saying, data. And when we look
so
at
let's see the data.
Yeah, they just want to see data, and they can't understand it because who funds all of their programs? Look at who advertises. Spencer Day Fazy. I appreciate it. I appreciate that we're getting some more data now. David chiming in. No one wants to touch Chubb because of his injury. Oh, man. No, Nick Chubb is like the best worker, the best teammate anybody could ever have. He's had injuries. He's had 3 injuries, and he comes back. He's already bench pressing 600 pounds again, or squatting 600 pounds on the knee. Give him a shot. If anyone's earned a shot, give him a league minimum deal with a performance-based escalator. Oh, Nick Chubb is a huge asset to anybody's team. And damn Minkah Fitzpatrick for that injury. Doggone him. Yes, harassment for having guns. No bueno. Deb saying there's no data to justify any of this stuff. Yeah, let's see the data, please. Yeah, so here's the data over the weekend. Look, Cory Booker. Oh my gosh, you mean he said from my heart to you? Oh, so did this guy. They proposed a community note and we'll see, look, his fingers were separated a little bit more, so it's not the same. No, it's like the same. Enough with the crazy stuff. Then they try to turn it around. Yeah, you got to burn Teslas because Elon's a Nazi. And they're doing the same thing. From my heart to you. From my heart to you. Seriously, it's so stupid. All right, let's talk about Palantir. I think I'm going to need to give an entire show on Palantir as I learn about it. But let's go through. Let me full screen this. Yeah, that's all that did. Hang on. Well, okay, that's fine. Jason Bassler says, no, this Palantir database isn't like the others. It'll combine tax filings, student debt, Social Security, bank accounts, medical claims, immigration status. No previous database system has ever been centralized this much personal info across federal agencies. Bill Maher gets steamrolled on his own show. For years, he pushed the narrative that Trump was responsible for January 6th, but today he met his match. David Mamet, the legendary playwright, torched Maher's lies about Trump in the 2020 election. Here's a whole thread on Vigilant Fox that you might want to check out. There you go. Look, it's the same thing. My heart to you. Thank you. See you later. Thank you, everyone. One of these is totally fine. One is totally not. You're all totally taking the bait. Hey, here's an insight. One of my buddies sent this to me. Dr. Insensitive Jerk. I know Scott Adams had been reposting some of his stuff, but here's an interesting philosophy. Here's an agree to disagree. Can I? No. All right, let's hear this. Man exists that he might have joy. You've probably noticed that within 2 years, AI will exceed the financial expertise of any MBA, and the AI will be more honest. Within 5 years, AI will exceed the medical expertise of any human doctor, and any attractive young woman with a black leather bikini and 3 hours training can perform a prostate exam. Within 10 years, AI will exceed the engineering expertise of any human, and the AI will skip over the 5 years of newbie mistakes required to be young human engineers. These are not new insights. The new insight is this. 10 years from now, why would any human endure 7 years of misery in medical school? Why would any human bother to learn vector calculus? Why would any human pay an Asian grad student to do his MBA homework? Those degree programs and those entire professions seem doomed in the short term. The manual labor jobs will not last much longer. Within 20 years, Optimus 4 will install a roof better than a Mexican, and it won't need workman's comp. Then it will do the drywall, and it won't forget to tape the joints. Optimus 6 will remove an appendix faster than any human, and it won't yell at the nurse until she cries. At that point, what is left for us to do? Just this. Humans have one singular trait that we cannot replicate in our robots. The trait is our self-awareness. We can enjoy sexually harassing the nurse, and an AI cannot. Soon, that will be our only function, to enjoy the world created by our mindless but oh so clever machines. After all, if no sentient being will ever enjoy looking at a sculpture, why would an Optimus 7 bother sculpting it? We will be the ultimate kept mistresses, supported in a life of ease, with only a single duty: to experience pleasure at the hands of our masters. My question is whether that will be heaven or hell. What say you? What do you make of that? There's a lot to unpack there. I think it's sort of spot on in a couple of ways. We are just running right toward Terminator 2. Running right toward the Terminator. Dun, 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 dun. Brian, do you know Scott Pressler? If so, opinion. Deb, you've never seen my interview with Scott? Oh, surely you've seen my interview. Let's see if it pops up when I search. No. Huh. Let me try it again. Scott. No videos found. What? Hold on a second. Not to go too far afield here. But you asked, and Independence Day, July. So this would have been after this, so maybe 11. No, 10. Scrolling. Hey, there's me interviewing Vermin Supreme. Remember when I interviewed Vermin Supreme? Let's check 9. It's my documentary. Where's my Pressler interview? Wait, why can't I find this? Hold on. Did I not upload this to Rumble? Why wouldn't this be on Rumble? Sorry, now you got me looking. July 15 through 18. July 18. So, wait, that's October? Independence Day. There's June. So it'd be 11. Wouldn't it be right here? Vivek Ramaswamy. And we had John Fugelsang on the show. Yeah, there's our interview with Clint Russell here.
Guide to the Truth, the new AmericanMedia.com.
All right, Deb, you need to go to the video and check it out.
Hey everybody, Brian Engelman here, 2024 Republican Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm here with Scott Pressler. Scott, how you doing? Thanks for joining me. My pleasure. I appreciate it so much. You've been hustling, dude. We see you just Energizer Bunny, that bass drum. You were just going. Where does that energy come from?
Coffee.
Coffee.
So there's my interview with Scott Pressler.
At the helm.
Here, I'll share it so it'll be, I'll put it on X so you can quickly find it on X. I'll just say, in case you missed it. ICY, in case you, MI. There you go. So, Deb, it's at the top there. You can follow it. Yes, it was called Skynet. Yes, you did derail Brian, or Brain. You did. But there it is. You have the video. You can check it out. Now, back to AI painting portraits and sculpting. I don't know. You get the point. We're entering a strange new time. I think that's what I had planned for you today, actually. No, that's totally fine that we went off on the tangent because that is the gist of what I wanted to convey to you today. Cheers to let's raise our coffees, our Don't Tread on Me coffee. And a cheers to Spiral being back. Welcome back, buddy. And thanks for all of you being back here on the TNAM Daily Show, a division of the Agree to Disagree show that you can subscribe to on Spotify and Apple. All right. That's all I had for you today. We'll unpack the news tomorrow. Signing out with great appreciation and love. I bid you to be continued. Take care.
Your guide to the truth, the new AmericanMedia.com.